Hello, Reg Techies. Welcome to the first installment of a new quarterly series here on the Reg Tech podcast in partnership with our friends over at Aspen Technology Labs. We're bringing you the job market pulse, the latest insights from their quarterly U.S. jobs report, offering key data points about the U.S. labor market in the second quarter of 2024. The data in this report comes from Aspen Tech Labs JobsIndex, which aggregates daily vacancy information from the more than 150,000 company career sites across the country. Joining me now is Isabel Woodrow, and she's going to walk us through the numbers. Isabel, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Excellent. So before we get started, tell everyone what the Jobs Index is and what do you do with her at Aspen Tech Labs as well.
Yes, so I am a senior product manager at Aspen Tech Labs, and I work on our job market pulse product, which you started to explain. I'll back up a bit. So Aspen Tech Labs has been around since 2008. We're a leader in web data management. Some of you may know us for our web scraping services. And a couple of years ago, we pooled all our jobs that we scrape for different customers into what we call our jobs index. So it includes 9 million jobs worldwide, just over 5.5 million jobs in the US. And in addition to getting data from specific companies, we have customers who will give us criteria, like, for example, all nursing jobs in Ohio or all accounting jobs in the US. We can kind of slice and dice and deliver the data that way. We realized we have this great pool of jobs data and we can glean insights from it. So we built Job Market Pulse, which is business intelligence on top of this data. So we've started doing quarterly reports in 2023, and now we've done, I think, 6 or so of them now. And and they get better each quarter. We learn things. There's things we hear people are interested in. So I'm really excited to share our Q2 2024 report to kind of go over what we're seeing happening in the job market.
Yeah, me too. I'm looking forward to the data here. And these are just company career site jobs, like no job boards included in this. Is that correct?
Right. So it's just coming directly from corporate career sites, not job boards. We do have some data from agencies, and you can decide if you want to filter that out or not. So there is maybe 10% of the jobs are from agencies, but otherwise it's directly from companies and none from job boards. So you'll see little to no kind of duplication there.
All right. Well, Isabel's going to share her screen and bring up some slides for us to go through. So go ahead, Isabel.
Okay, so August 2024, this is our Q2 2024 Job Market Pulse report. Shared a little bit about Aspen Tech Labs earlier, so I'll skip through this. And Job Market Pulse, we'll just highlight again, is the business intelligence product. And with Job Market Pulse, you can see what's happening in the job market in real time. You can track historical changes, figure out who's hiring and for which roles, create alerts to stay on top of things, and also you can track salaries with our wage benchmarking tool. And I'll show you a bit about what we're seeing for salaries in the US as well.
Who do you sell Job Market Pulse to? Give us a sense of the client base for that.
Yeah, so a couple different groups. There's agencies who are looking at, hey, what's going on in the job market? I need to know. I'm also helping my clients kind of stay on top of their competitors and also what job titles are growing. And they also use it for our wage benchmarking tool. So, and direct employers as well. So you can look up a job title in a certain location and see what salaries are. There's now over 40% of jobs in the US have salary information. So we have really kind of great salary data that you can dig into and see for, again, specific title in a metro, see what you're charging for certain roles. So kind of anyone who wants to look at the job market. There's one other use case, which is companies in kind of the financial industry that are looking at tracking specific companies. So you can kind of glean performance of companies by their career page, perhaps, if we track it every day and see, okay, like Tesla announced layoffs. Well, what if 2 days before their job postings went to 0, right? That could be an indicator of like real movement in the stock market, and you're getting kind of this insight from job posting data. We also have indexes like where we'll track electric vehicles, like what are all the companies doing in that space as well. So a couple different use cases. We know a lot more out there we can do with this job market data.
Yeah, very cool.
Okay, so this is an overview on the US. Over the last year, vacancies are down 3%. We kind of know that post-COVID and all-time highs, the job market's down. However, it does look like in the start of the year, things are picking back up. You can see it's kind of relatively flat to up in 2024 so far. In Q4, it's up just about 4%. So it's stable in the US, which we're seeing as kind of a good sign of, okay, maybe the worst of job market going down is behind us. And now we're seeing kind of a little bit more even growth and just stability in the market.
Yeah, I think we've plateaued, in the job market.
Yes. Okay, you can also look at jobs regionally is interesting. California was actually down, California and the West Coast were down, where actually most other parts of the US were up a little bit more, and even like the East East South Central is the name, was up 3% in Q2. So if you're doing work in that market, that could be more active or kind of help you know where to shift focus and where, you know, you may see a lot more job postings available.
East Coast is hot.
Yeah. Okay, this is just looking at the vacancies for S&P 500 companies. So it is down a little bit more year over year, 5%, and even down a bit in Q2. And these are all the job postings from S&P 500 companies kind of put together in one index. And what we do for that is if there's changes to S&P 500, we make changes to our index, and we're constantly kind of tracking and keeping a really close eye on these big kind of important companies to see what's going on in the job market. What I think is interesting is it actually pretty closely tracks the whole US data. So this is over the last year. The big dip you can see in January 24 is the end of the year. We see a lot of vacancies expire and then they get kind of recreated. So you can almost you see that bump in S&P, you see it in US, you see it in other countries as well. Like, we try and not exclude the last week of the year and the first week of the year in our reports because you just see kind of such weird data. But aside from that, they track really closely over the last year, which we think is interesting.
What are a couple companies in the S&P? Give me a couple of examples, names.
So I think that it's all big companies. So it's the biggest publicly traded companies. You know, you have like Facebook or Meta, Google, Apple, Tesla, to like McDonald's, Walmart. There's some big healthcare companies in there. It's really all the biggest companies across a bunch of different industries. I think there's a Mag 7, which are the top 7 performing companies, which this year, certainly it's NVIDIA, might be Palo Alto Networks. I've got to look at exactly what the list is, but I think Adobe's in there. So those are some of the top performing companies stock-wise over the last year. And we also can track that against their job postings. Amazon, certainly, that's one I didn't mention. I think we have a slide on that coming up. Okay, so we hear a lot about kind of the drop in tech jobs over the last year. I mean, I think it was maybe a bigger topic in the end of 2023 and the beginning of this year. They are down kind of 11% year over year, but again, looks like maybe in the start of the year it's flat. We did see a recent drop at the end of June, July. Again, I think that could maybe be tracked towards 6 months through the year. Job postings might expire and bounce back up. We saw that last year, so it's something we're looking at closely. But really, even in the tech space, aside from we're looking closely in the last few weeks, it does look like things have stabilized there and even grown a bit since 2024 started.
What was the percentage down in 23? Do you remember?
I think it was like 15%.
15. Okay. So
yeah,
down 50% in 23, 11% now in 24. So okay.
Just halfway through, right? Like we're still kind of
halfway through, yeah.
It's year over year. So we're still seeing that decrease from kind of the second half of 2023. Although if you just look at 2024, it looks a lot more stable.
And is that the biggest dip in any industry from the report, would you say, or in terms of the sectors of losing jobs?
Year over year, yes. I think quarter over quarter, I'll quickly pull up the results and share them at the end. But that's what tech we saw going down, but there's one reason I wanted to show this is the other side of tech that we see is AI is actually up 30% year over year. So the job postings that contain AI, data scientists, we kind of did a big search of what we think would be job titles related to AI, and these are booming. So there's a lot of focus on perhaps jobs AI could be taking away, but we wanted to look at, okay, what jobs are AI creating? And a lot of these are in tech. So even if you include like tech being down 10%, this is up 30%. It's up even more, right, compared to the rest of the job market. So we think there's lots of exciting opportunities in AI. We actually do a quarterly report on AI jobs with Veritone. So they're a partner of ours, and we kind of teamed up together to publish a quarterly report. So you can check that out as well, and you'll see that going forward.
Okay, excellent.
Okay, salary information and job postings. A huge topic of interest. There's lots of states that have salary transparency legislation. I think it's 5 in the US now. And by the end of the year, it will be 7 or 8 states. I think Maryland, Colorado, a few have introduced legislation that will soon go into effect. So we now see over 40% of jobs in the US contain salary information. We have a really sophisticated salary parser that pulls salary information out of job postings. So whether it's in the title, like its own specific section, the description, whether it's like some jobs are daily, weekly, annually, et cetera, we can kind of pull all those salaries out. And then we've built a tool where you can compare it apples to apples. One thing that's interesting is we took out all the states that require salary transparency in job postings, and you now are still over 30% of jobs in the US have salary information. So we think transparency is great. We're seeing more and more of it. Excited more employers are getting behind it, even in states where it's not yet required. So it's been really interesting.
It's a nice number, nice jump there, 12 points in, a year. So it's good. Keep
Yeah.
that
And every week it's slowly bumps up. We see more and more.
chugging along there.
And this is the change in median salaries in the US. So looking all across the US, it's actually up 4% year over year, which I think tracks slightly above what we're seeing for inflation. So that's another kind of thing we track, and potentially positive for consumers. Employers have to think about how to structure salaries. So you can see what's happening kind of in real time with salaries in the job market.
How do you deal with the jobs that have like salary ranges in there when you're putting
So
it together?
great question. So we take the range for every job. If there isn't a range, the low and the high is the same, and you can get the median on the low end, the high end, you can just get the median. So we can give you kind of however view you want to see it. And if the range is too big, like the difference between the low and the
It's
high
like
range,
20,000 to 200,000, right? There's some.
right? If it's like more than half of what the original salary is, like and it's actually a bit different for some lower wage positions and higher, we actually exclude it. We don't even say that that's a real salary because it's not helpful information.
Yeah, makes sense.
We did try and dig into which employers do this and why, and it's not super widespread. There's certainly a couple companies that do it, but for the most part, we see it as it looks like maybe it's an error. There is like a trend to kind of, okay, let's give a real range. Certainly there's people doing it, but for the most part, we don't see too much of that.
Yeah.
These were some job titles I think that the BLS was saying are some of the most popular and growing job titles in the US. We just wanted to take a look at salary year over there for those positions. So this is an example of nurse practitioner. Salaries are up. So if you have to hire nurse practitioners, you probably have to raise your wages here. They've gone up a lot over the last year. And these are all wages from job postings. And then data scientists too. It's a little bit more up and down, but up overall year over year for those roles. And with AI, we expect kind of those jobs to continue to be more desirable, and if you are looking in the job market and interested in getting into AI, from what we're seeing, it any kind of spin you have on that, it could really be a useful tool in the job market. And lots and lots more people are hiring for AI talent.
Yep.
Just a quick example of our wage benchmarking tool, kind of a further application of job market pulse. You can look at registered nurse jobs in Boise. You can see the salary, how many have salary, the distribution trend, kind of the vacancy trend, and some top employers and kind of what they're paying.
Very nice.
One thing we wanted to look at is who's hiring. So you can get really specific into companies. These are two companies we've seen that have grown a lot over the last year that are interesting. So Amazon's hiring has gone way up. That kind of ebbs and flows. It seems like it was down and now it looks like they're doing a lot of hiring again. And then, Accenture, a consulting firm, has since, October really increased their hiring as well. So
yeah, a friend of mine just got a job. It's at Amazon in Seattle. He moved out there from Connecticut here just recently. So
yeah, and then, certainly their warehouse roles are really popular jobs and have pay-per-click and pay-per-apply and stuff related to Amazon jobs. So there's lots of interest in that space as well.
oh yeah.
Okay, and our Q2 report was focused on the US. I just wanted to touch base on some other countries and share what we're seeing there. We don't just have data on the US. We do kind of focus our quarterly reports there because a lot of our customers and interest is there, but we have jobs data worldwide. So UK we saw is down 12% year over year. I think, we're hearing the UK job market is struggling. It does look like maybe it's slowing down the decrease. So we're seeing things start to look better again in 2024. That's, I think, a common trend for the US, UK, Germany, and France that we're seeing here. Germany is really similar to the US, just down 2.5% year over year. Again, looks flat since the start of 2024. And France is slightly down year over year, but actually has really increased since the start of 2024, their hiring
I wonder if
activity.
the Olympics has anything to do with that.
Yeah. So I guess we'll post an update after the Olympics to see how that all changes. But so far it seems like it's going well over there. So what they're doing is working. Okay, so this was it for the report. Let me just double check what it is for our other categories because I have our US Q2 report up. It's going to be a slightly different slideshow because it's for, so if you want to access our full Q2 report, go to our website, you can download it. I think it's about 20 pages of information and also commentary as well with it.
Yeah,
So these were the categories quarterly and yearly. So banking, we saw a big increase in Q1, legal, dental, construction. You can see some of those roles. And then where we were seeing declines, and this is just quarter over quarter, you can also see the yearly in the far right-hand column, but insurance, pharmacy, interesting engineering jobs, which we separate out a bit differently from like tech, although of course they're related. Like software engineering, for example, is in tech. It's not in engineering. That's more for hard engineering skills. HR and marketing were down in Q1.
Isabel, you know what I'd love to see in maybe your Q3 report is like who are the top 100 companies with the fastest hiring right now? Like you showed the on and the Accenture one. I'd love to see that list. What that list looks like. I think it's a great data point if you want to think about that in the next one. But I'd love to
Yeah,
see
that's a great idea. We'll look at
the
which.
fastest hiring right now and a chart like that would be awesome.
So we'll do that. And if anyone listening wants to see that before Q3, reach out to me and we'll pull it up for you now. And that's a great idea for a Q3 report. And let's touch base on it next time.
Excellent. Awesome. Well, Isabel, we appreciate your time today. Tell the audience where to go to get the report and download everything and learn more about Aspen.
Yes. AspenTechLabs.com. You'll see it right at the top. Download our most recent report. We have it there. You can also find it via LinkedIn. So Aspen Tech on LinkedIn. We've just posted it there. And I think we'll be posting some screenshots from it for the next week or so. So just you can find us on LinkedIn or on our website, AspenTechLabs.com.
Excellent. And Q3 will be out when, do you think?
So the first, like mid-October.
October. Okay, so we'll come back to you then, audience, and check out the new numbers. So thanks for watching, everybody. And Isabel, thanks very much for the data today. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.